What is up, you guys? It is Bob, and I'm going to be going over how Trump's reopening of the market and how Gilead's Remdesivir is linked. And I've been following how these two have been linked since early March because I am personally very much invested in Gilead, and Remdesivir is a big part of it, but not the whole thing. And I just want to say that I'm not going to be pumping this stock. I'm just going to be giving the broad strokes of why I bought it and why I've been holding it through these extremely crazy market times. I'm going to be condensing over 150 hours of research. So I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button on this one. And if you like this quality content, subscribe. I'd love to have you back. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's start with the Stat News article that pretty much made Remdesivir super famous as of like today. That was an interesting article, and it was reported by a very credible journalist named Adam Feuerstein, and it was really based on a recording of a doctor named Miss Mullane, who was speaking about how the Remdesivir trials were going anecdotally so far, which is great and all, but it is not the result of a real clinical trial. This is basically rumors from very credible people, and because it was timed with Trump reopening the economy right when the market closed, there's a lot of like this going on with that article. So take it with a grain of salt. In fact, Gilead essentially responded to this by saying, "What we can say at this stage is that we look forward to data from ongoing studies becoming available." This is not the be-all, end-all article, guys, but it is positive, so hey. Okay, so let's go into the actual facts of what the drug does. So here's the fancy answer, which is Remdesivir is an antiviral medication, a nucleotide analog, specifically an andosin analog, which inserts into viral RNA chains, causing their premature termination. Okay, that's super fancy. By my understanding, what it really means is it stops the virus from continuing to replicate itself because it basically stops the healthy cells that are replicating the virus from replicating the virus. That's basically what it does. And it is not like chloroquine. You can't take it with a pill. You have to take it intravenously, and it's not a one-time dose. Now, what makes this drug actually special, if you will, is the fact of how far it is in its trials. Right now, it is in phase 3 of human trials, which no other treatment can say at all. It's just Remdesivir right now. And if this drug is found to be effective, the drug will be pushed so quickly through the FDA, it'll be faster than like we've ever seen. In fact, here is a chart of what's going on with the trials. You can see at the top that it starts with compassionate use because Remdesivir was originally being given away by Gilead to whoever was needing it. And we were getting a little bit of anecdotal reports on that April 10th. And then Remdesivir tried doing a double-blind, placebo-controlled study with China. That ended up being discontinued due to low enrollment, but who knows what was going on over there. So that's why Gilead basically took it over themselves in America. And there is 2 trials going on. There is a critical and severe trial and people who are showing more moderate symptoms. And keep in mind that all of these people have been hospitalized. And when we get actual results from them are in different times. For example, the critical people, we're going to be getting answers relatively soon here in late April. And then for the moderate people, it's coming in late May. And then there's another one going on by the NIAID, which is a double-blind placebo-controlled group. And that's really going to carry the most weight because they have placebo-controlled and it's double-blind. So it's really a more credible trial. And then there's a bunch of ones going on, but those will be after June. And if this does indeed become effective, we will likely have FDA approval before this. And the main thing that these clinical trials are really trying to figure out, aside from whether or not it actually works, is a few things. First off is the dosage. How many doses do people really need and at what stages? The main amount of dosages that they're really looking at is between 5 doses and 10 doses. Another thing they're trying to figure out is what dangers there might be to certain types of patients with certain issues. One thing they're really focusing in on is people with different types of liver situations. Another thing they're trying to figure out is when the drug is best administered and at what stage basically the virus inside the person. Because a couple things you need to understand again with this drug is it's not taken orally, it's taken intravenously. And so everyone who ends up taking remdesivir is people who have been hospitalized. This is not like a preventative measure. If you're taking remdesivir, you got it. Now let's relate this to the opening of the economy at large. See, what you have to understand is, to an extent, this is also basically Donald Trump's sales pitch of, okay, we're going to go back into the world now, and you might get sick, but you ain't going to die. Probably. It's trying to be a comfort for people as we re-enter the workforce, as we go back outside and start trying to make more GDP happen. And it will prove absolutely vital in progressing the 3-step program that Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci have basically put together of opening up the economy in stages. All right, so that's the general sales pitch, but how much of this stuff can we actually make? Because here's the thing with remdesivir. You cannot just stick it in a crock pot and boil it overnight, and then boom, you got remdesivir. This is actually a really complicated drug to make. When they first started making it, it took 9 to 12 months to make 1 dose of remdesivir. Now they've actually shortened it down to 6 to 8 months, which is great, but still a relatively long lead time. So what Gilead has done is they've actually started teaming up with all the production facilities that they can in North America, Europe, and Asia so far. And with all of those production facilities together, they're hoping to have 140,000 treatment courses by May, and then 500,000 by October, and 1 million by the end of the year. And this is based off of them taking 10 doses per person. Currently, we have enough stockpiled for 30,000 patients. Also, something nice to note about Gilead is that they're giving away 140,000 doses, which was their entire stockpile at the time, for free. So, that is nice of them. And great branding. Okay, so that's the amount of projected doses, but is this enough? According to the World Health Organization, 14% of people who get COVID-19 get hospitalized, and 5% of those require intensive care. And these are the current confirmed amounts in America and in the world. Obviously, these aren't perfect numbers. Not everyone's getting tested. Conspiracy theories, this, that, the other, say whatever you want. And I'm not even going to try to project how many people get sick because the numbers just fluctuate with even the experts. So it really is just difficult to understand how much is enough. Now let's go to the stock itself, okay? I'm just going to touch on the broad strokes again as to why I chose this one. Otherwise, I will be here for literally ever, and no one has that kind of attention span on YouTube. Sorry. The first thing that you need to understand about Gilead as an actual investment is that remdesivir is just one of its drugs, okay? There is actually way more going on with Gilead than just this drug. The main thing that is known about Gilead is its 11 HIV treatments. And the other drug that is getting a whole lot of attention is another really well-named drug called filgotinib. Got a ring to it. And what that is it helps treat rheumatoid arthritis. And it is under priority review with the FDA. And we should hear back in the coming months on this. And in fact, you could argue that that drug could be more profitable than remdesivir. Another reason why I chose this stock is really because I saw it as a relative safety stock in early March, and I still do, because this stock has not been dropping like a rock like basically every other stock. In fact, it's been going up. And the big reason why this stock hasn't been falling is, first off, it is a biotech stock in this field with a promising COVID-19 treatment. And biotech stocks with a COVID-19 treatment, vaccine, what have you, have all been generally at least holding. I also saw this as a safety stock because of the market cap. The market cap is absolutely enormous on this thing. And so many of those other companies like Moderna, Invivo, Inovio are way smaller cap stocks, which means they can fluctuate way more than the larger cap stocks. And I'm not a day trader, so I'm just not interested in these crazy big fluctuations. And one of the ultimate reasons why I chose this stock as the best, not just, treatment, but actual stock and company, is because of the insane cash on hand with this company. $25 billion worth of cash on hand, just in their coffers right now. This was before there were bailouts or anything going on. It actually has enough money to pay all of its current liabilities, not all of its long-term liabilities, but it could pay all of its current liabilities easily. And remember, this is when the VIX was up at like 70 and 80, basically the fear index, and 70 and 80 is really high. And I was like, yeah, at least this company won't go under if, everything starts to fall apart. And the last thing that really sweetened the pot for me was its insane dividend, which is like at 3.6%. That is really, really high, and really the best returns I could expect in a market like this. And remember, the dividend was slated to happen. It happened. I got the money. Okay, so that's why I chose it. But moving forward, will remdesivir, its main drug, at least in the short term, will that drug actually be profitable? Well, probably, but how profitable is extremely hard to say. First off, we don't know what the price will be for this drug. No clue. We don't know how many doses are needed. We're between 5 and 10, and that could just, double the cost right there. We really don't know how many people will be sick when the drug actually comes online, and we don't know how many people will actually be able to take it. And with all of these other companies really pushing to make their own treatments, we don't know how long of a huge market share remdesivir will have. And lastly, there are tons of political issues with this drug, as you might imagine. There are a lot of people pushing for this drug to be free. They're pushing to force Gilead into allowing everyone to make the drug. And yeah, I mean, times are crazy. If things get really, really big and Gilead just can't make enough of it and the virus spikes super high, then, well, yeah, maybe the government has to step in and say, hey, let everyone else make this stuff. People will be dying. And even as a stockholder, I gotta say, yeah, maybe we should. But the main thing that I see as super profitable for this company is not just the initial sale of remdesivir. It is the inevitable stockpiling that will happen from many, many countries. They'll be like, hey, if this drug works, we want a lot of it in our stockpiles. And if the drug, changes things up and your drug essentially works, and maybe you're making offshoot versions of the treatment, well, we want those too. And let's not forget that a lot of you guys just started hearing about Gilead. Just imagine how much brand recognition they are getting right now because of this. So when it comes to their other drugs that they're trying to push through, oh my goodness, this will really help with penetrating the markets that they're trying to get into. And another thing about brand recognition is hitting that like button, because this will really help spread the message of the facts of Gilead, which I think is really important right now because there's way too many rumors. So I'd really appreciate you hitting that like button. If you found this valuable, please hit the subscribe button. Add some comments if you got questions. And look, I know I did just the broad strokes. So if you know more about remdesivir, if you want to elaborate on some stuff, go for it in the comments. And I hope you guys stay safe. And honestly, I really do hope this drug does work, if not just for my pocket, but also because I want it to work. This will help everyone involved. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great weekend. All right, bye.